Hi, this is Sylvie Curry from Ramona, California, and I'm listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the really big Barbecue Central show. This is the show that talks about all things important to barbecue and grilling, blah, blah, blah. We have to have an abridged open because it's all Barbecue Hall of Famers, guest Hall of Famers all the time. Coming up in about 8 seconds, Andy Husbands for the complete first hour. Coming up in the second hour, Emily Detweiler at 10 p.m. So we mustn't waste any more time. We race to the hotline and pick up our pal, Andy Husbands. There he is, Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. Oh, my. Look, Andy, you've had a number of accomplishments over your storied career, both in restaurant touring and in barbecue, but I would imagine we've reached some kind of pinnacle and life-changing momentum as the guest Hall of Fame honors are bestowed.
Yeah, I am truly honored. It's really super cool.
Have you been approached by media and kids seeking autographs? I mean, I'm very big with the kids.
Yes, daily. Daily, they're coming to me and asking for my autographs, especially my children.
Yes, of course.
They really want that.
As long as it's your kids first. I mean, that's really all that matters in the end. All right, so we're going to do the origin story of Andy Husbands, which means we're starting all the way in the beginning. So when was Andy Husbands born?
1969, believe it or not.
I'll believe it. Where at?
Seattle, Washington.
Really?
Yeah.
I always fancy you a New Englander from way back, but
no. Wow. Go Seahawks. Jim Zorn.
Wow, Jim.
Steve
Largent. Largent doesn't want any of that. Yeah, all right. Love that. Good. So, other siblings in the house as well?
I have an older sister. Her name is Sorrel, and she lives in San Francisco.
So, what's family life like growing up out in Seattle with the sister? What's that all experience?
Wow, that's a great question. And I don't know how deep we want to get into my psychology.
Way deep.
But
this is what we do.
It was bonkers. And look, I got a good family, so my father's no longer with us. But my father was a hippie, and it was a wild time. I grew up with my father managing in the beginning. More kind of like Grateful Dead-esque bands. So we traveled the country and we were in a van called Farley, and the band was called the Fruitland Famine Band, and it was very unique. A lot of hippie communes and retreats and stuff like that. Pretty interesting. And then, which is crazy, is it segued into the Fruitland Famine Band changed it into a band called The Enemy. Oh. And they were a punk rock band. So I grew up with a lot of, this is the late 70s, seeing a lot. My father had clubs and recording studios. I remember seeing, we're talking early days, Elvis Costello, the Ramones, Black Flag.
Wow.
Yeah, just X,
Go-Go's before they were like
Go-Go's. Oh yeah, we've seen them in my dad's clubs.
Wow.
Yeah. Like little tiny 200. This is in the late 1970s. I want to tell you that, we lived in good places and I went to good schools, public schools in Seattle, but it was kind of a wild upbringing, a lot of stuff going on.
I feel so. We're not that far off in age. I'm maybe 5 years younger than you are. So born in 74, so mid 70s, if you want to call it that. Yeah. So, I mean, we're of the same era, same ilk, let's say. And I would imagine that my freedoms were way more constricted than it sounds like your freedoms were, just given what your dad was into. And
yeah, my father tried.
When you're young,
father tried to rein me in, but I was all over the place, and just kind of did whatever I wanted.
So was he more of not a control guy, but he did have some discipline in him? It wasn't just like, hey, it's rock star stuff and everybody's doing everything?
Oh, no. Oh. No, and I mean, he tried to be a good father. I mean, he was a good father, but he was busy out nights a lot of times. It's the 70s and early 80s. I was a latchkey kid, so nobody was around. My sister was older, so she, by the time I was 12, she was off at college. So, kind of just, it's one of the reasons I learned to cook. There were, people weren't home, so I went and, I cooked. I learned to cook for myself.
Knowing what your dad did, I'm surprised we're not talking to like former frontman Andy Husbands of whatever band. Are you a music guy too, or no?
I love music, except for that music I had to listen to while I was waiting for you. I do really appreciate all types of music. I really do. And, but I just can't carry a note. I've tried.
You never played an instrument or anything?
I tried many,
yeah.
But, not good at it, but I appreciate it. I love music. But what I was, I think my creative outlet was cooking. I love to cook. In fourth grade, I did a demo. You had to do a how-to demo, and I did how to make donuts, which think about that. Wow. That's fourth grade. Yeah. I was learning how to make donuts, like frying stuff in hot oil.
Yeah, that seems dangerous.
Yeah, but I just picked up the Joy of Cooking cookbook, and I just read it and I would cook something out of it.
So as you're growing up, do your parents stay together through it all?
No, my parents were separated since I was like 5, I think.
Oh, really? So
my mom,
pretty young.
And my mom was around, but I lived with my dad mainly.
So when you guys are like touring around the country in Farley or Furley or whatever, is that just like normal everyday stuff? Or do you look around and go, well, I mean, not all the other kids are on tour?
No, I knew it was weird. In fact, my best friend, Peter Bovington at the time, I loved being at his house. It was so calm. His father was a lawyer. They were very preppy. Everything I wanted to be. And years later, we were talking, and this is, I think after college, and I had reconnected with him. He's like, God, I wanted your life. Everything was just, a lot of freedom. You could do whatever you wanted. And I'm like, I just wanted your life. Mom and dad were home, consistency. But so this is where the psychology comes in.
Yep.
Is I wanted that, like how dogs want a leader in the pack. They want, a wolf to lead the pack. I think I wanted that. I wanted structure. And that's why restaurants really turned me on, because when you go into a kitchen, it's structure. There's somebody's in charge. You know what you have to do. You're going to give assignments. So for me, that I think was really attractive. I love that.
Did you also have a relationship with your mom to some degree?
Oh yeah, of course. I still do. I just saw her today.
And then so you live with your dad, but like equally close to both?
Yeah, she was, maybe a couple miles away. I'd see her all the time. Yeah. But it was mainly I lived with my dad. But there were times I lived with my mom. It's just back and forth. Gosh, I mean, I didn't really expect to talk about all this, but, I do a lot with hunger relief. Especially, I work with No Kid Hungry. And that's my favorite charity. Such a great charity. I think no matter what especially these days, what our political beliefs are, I think we all can agree that no child should be hungry. And I don't want to go too deep into what I think about it, but I just going to say what's interesting is, by the time I was 16, I had lived in 16 houses. And when I was very young, when I lived with my mom, I think this is first and second grade, we were federally assisted. Meaning we had food, what they called food stamps at the time, like funny money, right?
Yeah.
That, and I remember my mom using that. it was really cool. There was a safety net for her. She had 2 young children and but she was ingenious and she was smart. She went and got a college education. She, she'd make us things like popovers and which are cheap, but really, really good.
Yep.
Right. And we'd have tuna salad in them. Loved them. So, she ended up doing very, very well in her career. She built herself a small business, so good for her. Right.
So I have what was the food scene like as you were growing up, but it sounds like, from an early age, Andy was not fending for himself, but had really found an early love of cooking, perhaps out of necessity then.
Yeah. I mean, I made a lot of Kraft macaroni and cheese and I made a lot of omelets. I used to like to, in a blender, put, avocado, milk, and garlic salt, and eat it on saltines. That was my big to do.
Yeah.
But this is the 70s. My father was never ever really into cooking. He'd do. In fact, my memory of barbecue as a kid is a grilled country style rib, right? So the shoulder with probably some kind of to me, it tastes like today, what you would say is KC Masterpiece. I don't know if that was around back then in the 70s, but that's kind of what it was. And, my mother, though, was a really good cook. She learned through the New York Times. She would read the New York Times. It's obviously before the internet, and she'd take the recipes and she'd cook them, and she was really good at it. So, the food scene, this is the 70s and early 80s, not so great. It was good.
How do you recall the primary education years for Andy? Pre-high school.
Pre-college, you're saying?
Pre-high school.
Oh, geez. Well, I wasn't a very good student. I didn't really, I was okay. I was actually very, very, I always excelled in math. Math is I love numbers. So, good at numbers, but everything else, I didn't really apply myself. And there was no one there making me apply myself. So, didn't really, I did okay. I enjoyed school. I had lots of friends, but homework wasn't my thing.
Same thing follows suit in high school then?
High school, pretty much, I really excelled in math and history then. I liked history a lot, but I was in the class for English where, first of all, they gave us Beowulf, which is the world's longest poem. And I'm like, I don't like this. And then I think the next year I was in a class where they just showed us the movies. Like I saw the movie Grapes of Wrath. But I know you're going to get there, so I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. When I got to college, I read, and I still do, all the time. Like, I love to read.
So let me trot you back, and then we'll jump right back into college. When you leave high school, do you know you want to go to college? Do you feel, so for me, my parents believed that we should go to college because I believe also when they were our age, there probably wasn't the same kind of emphasis that was put on college. A lot of people back then were, going into the military or they were going to work for their careers at that point. And so to have a better life, it would be a wiser decision to go to college for somebody like me. I should have never went to college, but that's a different interview for a different day. But they thought, you should go to college, you get your degree, then you're going to be more educated, you go get the job. Did you feel like you had to go to college? Did you want to go to college? How did that play out for you?
So we should say that when I was 14, I moved to Needham, Massachusetts, which is about 30 to 40 minutes, depending, maybe even 50 minutes outside of Boston. I moved there. My father's father was ill, and my father wanted to move back and help take care of my grandmother. And so he's like, I'm going to go there. If you want to go, come on. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go. I was kind of a loner at that point. This is freshman year. And I don't know. I was just wasn't.
That's a tough move, man. Like across country at 14?
Yeah. Halfway through my freshman year.
Yeah.
Halfway through my freshman year.
So you're starting the second half of school in a new school.
Yeah. And by the way, back then, everything was different, and it was a wild change for me. I'll answer your question, but high school was tough in the beginning for me. First freshman, sophomore years was very tough because I didn't know anybody. Needham is a small town. So kids had grown up together and you're an outsider. And by the way, I went from like big city. I was a bus kid, I jumped on the bus since I was in 6th grade and ride around like all over the city. But you go to Needham, it's this little town. But I built some really good friends. Chris Hart, who I write my cookbooks with, and the leader of our team was in my same homeroom, Hart and husband, so we were in the same homeroom together.
Really?
I built some, I really built some great friends from high school. So I think today, I don't think they should have told us college is a must. I really think that it's goofed some people up. Maybe college wasn't great for everybody. For me, and probably like you, I just was like, of course I'm going to college. Okay, that's what you do.
Yeah, next
in
step.
my town, that's what you do. So, or some kids went to the military. I probably would have been better off there. What happened was, since I was 14, when I moved to Needham, I worked in a bakery. Shout out to Hazel's Bakery, as a baker's assistant. I remember, I'd have to be there at 6 a.m. on Saturdays, and this guy blasted this radio station, WJIB, always mellow music, right in Boston's waterfront. Ding ding. And you would hear a song, that was like you kind of knew, but it was now Muzak. And it was rough. And he was grumpy. Oh, Ken was grumpy.
Was it Yacht Rock radio of the time?
No, it wasn't even. Yacht Rock would have been nice. No, it was Muzak. It was Muzak.
Oh, Muzak. Got it.
Yeah. So like they'd be playing Michael Jackson, but it would be like, this is 1984, right?
Yeah.
So, but it would be Muzak version. But I loved it, and he taught me how to in the beginning, it's like, you go wash all this stuff. And then after a couple weeks of that, he's like, okay, now you learn to scale something. So I'd have to measure out all the ingredients for him to make a bread recipe, so I weigh everything. Then he taught me how to make bread. And so it was really neat. And after that, I worked in, a place called Beacons. I was a dishwasher. Then I remember, oh my God, it was a busy Saturday night. I was busting my ass, and the lead cook brought me over a prime rib at the end of the night, and I had never had prime rib.
Yeah,
and I was like, "What is this? This is amazing!" With the au jus on it. I'm just back there eating it behind. I loved it, and also what I loved about it. And I'm this geeky 15, 16-year-old at this point, and dishwasher. And you know who talks to you? Older girls. It was the coolest thing. Like all the waitresses would come talk to you, and these are like older. They're probably 18, 19, 20 maybe. But to me, I was like, I can't believe, and they were so nice. And it was like, everybody wants to be nice to the dishwasher, because nobody wants to wash dishes.
Yeah.
So for me, it was great. I thought that was really neat. Then they promoted me to prep cook. Then I worked for so now I'm up to junior, senior year, and I was working at a place called the Pillar House, which was a very famous restaurant in the Boston area. It's no longer around. And I'm like, I think I want to go to Johnson & Wales. I think I want to go to culinary school.
Wow.
And my buddy went to Johnson & Wales early, and he took a tour our junior year, and I went with him. Peter Murphy was his name. I don't know where he is. Anyway, so I went, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I want to do this. And I took my SATs. I got, I don't know, 1250 or something. I'm pretty good. And
That's pretty
I felt good. My grades were awful, and and so I signed up for, so I applied to Johnson & Wales and a couple other colleges, and that was Johnson & Wales accepted me. And I remember being like in the clouds going, I'm going to college. I can't believe it. I was so excited. And so now I'm getting ready to go to Johnson & Wales. I've been accepted, and I'm trying to fill out all the financial aid forms. And my father never did his taxes, and they're like, "Yeah, so we're not we can't accept you because rarely." And he's like, "Yeah, so I'm like, Dad, I need your taxes." I'm like, well, I don't have them. I'm like, well, I need them to go to school. And he's like, well, I don't have them. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to join the Navy. Oh. And I'm going to use their college fund, and then that's how I'm going to go to college. And he's like, I'll have them done tomorrow. And he got them done. My father
Wow.
was a conscious objector against the Vietnam War.
Oh yeah.
And he wasn't really pro-military. So he did get him done, but I was too late, so I didn't go for the first trimester. So I started late at Johnson and Wales. But yeah, so yeah, college was the thing for me. Like it was cool. Like I was really glad I went.
So that's the school that gives you both the cooking aspect and the business aspect, or could you do just one or the other?
Well, I should back up. So when I told my father I'm going to go to Johnson & Wales, he's like, "No son of mine's going to be a fry cook," and I'm like, "But this is what I want to do."
I mean, never mind. It's like a prestigious university of culinary excellence.
Yeah, but back then there were, you couldn't point to a guy like me. You couldn't point to I'm going to be like, name your chef.
Bobby
It's
Flay,
just not.
blah blah blah.
None of those people. Only people
Right.
you probably could name was who I loved was Yan Can Cook. I
Yeah.
think he's amazing.
Yes.
But Julia Childs, Jacques Pepin.
Yep.
But the Fred Smith, the Frugal Gourmet.
Yep.
He's out of Seattle. He was mad. He's like, "Well, I wanted you to be a lawyer or minister." That's what he wanted me to be. And I'm by the way, not religious. We're
Father,
not
Andy
religious family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unitarian minister is what he wanted me to be. And I'm like, you don't know me, Dad. That's not going to be me. And he's like, "Well, you have to go for business." I'm like, "Absolutely." I'm like, that's part of the plan. So I went for 2 years for culinary and 2 years for bachelor's in business, which I loved it. I adored every minute of it. I got straight A's, magna cum laude. I absolutely loved it. I loved every minute of it. And not just because I was paying for it, which I did. More, I just loved the challenge. I liked being good at something. That made me feel good, I never really felt good at anything before then, and I was as good or better than anybody else.
So when you graduate, are you hired coming out because you're a Johnson & Wales graduate to whatever great restaurant
culinary school
near you, or when you're out of culinary school, or do you go to a different culinary school after that?
No.
Yeah.
So I had to work through college, right? I'm not. We I got loans and grants, but we didn't have a lot of money. So
So you're taking time off in between, like you take a quarter off to build up money to
No, I would work nights and weekends and summers. Nights, weekends, summers.
Yep.
And I had been for 2 years, maybe 90 and 91. I was a sous chef on a restaurant on Block Island, called the Block Island Broiler, and I learned more in those 2 summers. Probably the amount I learned in those 2 summers was probably one of the greatest spans of learning time. They talk about, and when I talk to children or young adults, when I talk to young adults these days, I say there's this guy Malcolm Gladwell, and he has this theory, and maybe I think that's who it is, has this theory that if you do, to become an expert in something, you need to do it it takes about 10,000 hours.
Yes.
If you're going to do 40 hours a week, and I know you guys want to have your fun, well, that's going to take you about 5 years. And that's great. I go, or you can do it like I did it and do it in 2.5. Because when I was on Block Island, the first year I was there, I had to beg for a full day off. And, it's 3 months of Saturday nights. And the guy I worked for, Donald Hauser, who's passed, this is one of my favorite chefs, was one of the meanest, hardest guys I've ever worked for. This guy would make me cry or make somebody cry nightly. But he was, he was unfortunately a raging alcoholic, but, he was just a great chef. And he'd be like, Andy, you get here tomorrow at 9 a.m. and I'm going to teach you some stuff. And so I'd come in at 9 a.m. and we'd work and make breads. We'd make dressings. He'd show me how to make stocks. Normally I'd be rolling in at noon, and he would just show me all the prep stuff. So he just taught me so much. Little did I know that he probably hadn't slept for 3 days and on some kind of crazy bender, but
Right.
I didn't know that stuff. And I, I'm just sucking it all in. And, and I'd be like, oh, Donald, chef, can I please have a full day off? He's like, yeah, you can have this Sunday, you can have off, And then the second year I did get a full day off. And I worked for another chef, Donna in Sulaco, and she was out of New York. And she was super talented. So, man, I learned about fish and butchering fish and stuff. My point being is through my college years, I just worked. So I had, if you go to Johnson Wells back then, or you go to Johnson Wells now, going just to Johnson Wells will get you a foot in the door. But what you really need is real world experience. I mean, and that's for most likely, my guess is any occupation. You don't come out of law school and start, trying cases, right? You got to go get some experience under people. So I had a lot of experience.
So how long are you working before you meet your wife? Or do you guys cross paths a number of times before you knock her down?
Well, I've been married 10 years.
Yeah.
To Rice. So I've been working forever by that point.
Not married before then?
I was married before then. Yeah. I didn't know which wife you were talking about.
Oh, okay. I only know one. Sorry.
I've been married twice.
Yeah.
But my other wife, she's good. We just it was just a relationship that didn't work. No smoking guns. It's just she's a good person. Just
like too young, or just different interests in life and blah blah blah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Just different focuses and what we want, and yeah. But I would say that actually back to college. So when I got out of college, I moved to Boston, and I've never really looked for a job. People always say like, "Oh, you should go work here and just help." So a gentleman who I love dearly, he's like, "Yeah, I got a job for you. Come, you'll be the sous chef at this place for Chris Schlesinger." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll check it out." And I worked for Chris Schlesinger at the East Coast Grill. James Beard Award-winning chef.
Legend.
He's my mentor. He wrote Thrill of the Grill, which is one of the best grilling cookbooks out there. Working for him, I got to meet Stephen Reichlin, who I'm still friends with to the day. It was just a great experience. And Chris taught me about how to be a man and a human being, how to be treat people well. I'm like, they asked me what I wanted. I'm like, all I want is 2 days off in a row. If you can give me that, I'll give you everything. And they're like, yeah, no problem. And I would work 80, 85, no problem hours. I would go in early, stay late. I would do whatever because I loved working for this group. They were such good people, and I learned so much about food and grilling. I was a live fire. It was just awesome. What a great experience.
And he was running real wood-burning fire grills, correct?
Yeah. And
it was kind of unique at the time.
Oh yeah. It was all equatorials of food from warm climate. And so next door was Jake and Earl's Dixie Barbecue. And so it was a barbecue restaurant. Not restaurant, QSR as we call it, takeout. And the biggest fight I ever got with him, in fact, I almost lost my job over this. I'm his chef at this point now. I've been there for several years. I'm running the whole organization. He's like, I need you to work Jake and Earl's one night a week. And I'm like, no, that's not my focus. I don't want to do that. And he won. The owner always wins.
Yeah.
And I ended up, but he'll never let me live that down that I didn't want to work at his barbecue restaurant. And now I own barbecue restaurants. I didn't see at the time. I thought something that I was misinformed about barbecue.
So you thought it was beneath you?
I don't think I thought that because I really liked it. More that I wanted to do something different. I was going on a different path. I think that's more kind of what I wanted. I didn't think it was beneath me.
So where do you go from East Coast? How do you eventually vibe into the barbecue scene?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I should tell you that before I worked at the East Coast Grill, I don't think I ever. Now I'm like 22 at this point. I don't think I ever had real barbecue.
Yeah, I mean,
Hands
not
down.
uncommon. Same thing for me.
It's like, so this is 70s and 80s. There's no good barbecue. There was good barbecue starting to happen up here, in my opinion. But really, I hadn't gone down south. I hadn't traveled down south, and there certainly wasn't any in Seattle.
Same.
Now there is good barbecue in Seattle. So I mean, I'm working at Jake and Earl's, and I'm like, this stuff when it comes out of the smoker is unbelievable. Like, it was like what they were doing was great. I left East Coast Grill and I traveled the country. I worked on a farm in Santa Fe for about a half a year. Then I rode my motorcycle from there to where did I go? Oh, San Francisco. I worked in a bunch of restaurants out there, and someone called me, or people called me and asked me to come back to open a restaurant. So I felt my time was done, and I went back, and I didn't really like the offer that was given to me. Didn't seem right. But Chris Hart and I, we had been best friends in high school. We had talking like, let's open a restaurant together. So we opened Tremont 647 in 1996 together.
So Chris was also in the food scene right along then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, that restaurant I told you about that I got the prime rib from the grill chef.
Yeah.
He worked there too. His mom got me the job there.
Wow.
So, he'd bartended and bussed and done all sorts of stuff. I think at the time he was working at Whole Foods when I came back, and we decided to go for it. And kind of like, be careful for what you wish for, because we got it. And it was challenging and hard. He had his first child, Ethan, and he decided that the restaurant industry wasn't for him, and so he moved on. This is pivotal.
How long were you guys together before he left?
Of it being open, about a year.
Yeah. Oh.
But it takes you a good year and a half to open it.
Yep. And
it was hard. I was confused. I didn't understand why he'd ever want to leave. But I've actually recently, I'm going to say in the last 7 years, I've apologized to him about that, because I didn't know what it meant to have children.
So did you guys, were you pissed at him then and stop talking to him?
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to swear.
It's the internet. There's porno on the internet. Oh. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I was pissed.
Yeah.
And he was mad at me. We were both mad. It was a divorce. It was a messy divorce. It wasn't messy, but it was a divorce. We didn't talk for a long time.
Like years?
And which is weird, because we, since high school, we've always talked.
Yeah.
Quick jump on the phone and talked. So let's just say a year, maybe, I don't know, maybe half year after this divorce, I don't know who calls who, but we were on the phone and we're like, there's that event called the Pig and Pepper. Let's go do it. It was a barbecue event. And we said, let's go do that. Well, that'll be fun. So him and I went to it, and underprepared. We had a tent that fell down in the middle of the night. We had a crappy little Brinkman smoker or something like that, and didn't hold heat.
Any idea what year
raining? I'm going to say 98.
Oh,
98,
wow.
I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
Another team told us that we're like, oh yeah, they're asking us what we were doing for the poultry tournament. And we're like, poultry? We're like, we're going to do chicken. They're like, oh, no. They're like, it's anything but chicken. Like, really? And so now I'm calling my friends trying to get, I don't know how maybe I had a cell phone. I don't think so. I don't know how I got in touch with somebody trying to get some quail or duck. And then another team tells us like, no, they're just busting your balls. So, we did awful in that competition, but we did get third place chicken.
Huh.
And, it was this, little tiny trophy about this big, and it was really special. It was this weekend where Chris and I, I don't know, it lit a fire. It's created a spark in us.
You fell back in love again.
Well, with each other and with food. We
Yeah.
both love food,
Yeah.
and we're very passionate about it. And there was a fair amount of bourbon, and that's nice too.
Sure.
So we that's how we started competing. That was it. And we built a team from there.
Was it was it IQ at that point where you're like, hey, we're going to build this team, we're going to call it IQ, or does IQ come down, years later? Because I would imagine like whatever competition you're at in 98, that looks markedly different than competition barbecue as we've come to know and love.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was kind of starting, but no, I don't know what team we were called. I mean, we were Boss Hog for a while. We were the PBR Social Club. We were the UFO Social Club. Right around when iPods came out, that's where IQ came from. And so that was the final name change that we grabbed. I think we might have a couple other names as well, but yeah, we just we started competing. We competed, and by the way, I'm owning this restaurant for this whole time, right?
Right.
I have a fancier restaurant, and
it's kind of a legendary restaurant in that neck of the woods.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. I had it for 20 years, believe it or not. So we, for the first 5 years, did okay. We had a blast. Lots of laughs, playing cards, a lot of bourbon, a lot of just having a good time. But after about 5 years, we decided that we were tired of losing. And I'll give it to Chris. Chris is really, the main guy on our team. He's like a mad scientist and did the research and did the reps, and we all started really practicing, especially Chris. And he met a food scientist online that turned us on to Fab P.
Yep.
Fab C. Have you heard of this stuff?
Which is like the original injections. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were on the forefront of that. When we started using that stuff and nobody else knew we were doing it, we would win every competition.
Yeah.
We would just roll in and we would do real well. I was at my friend's restaurant, and he's like one of those fancy molecular chefs. And I was sitting in his kitchen, just like yapping at him. I think after service, just he was prepping and I was talking to him, having a glass of wine or something. I'm like, what are you doing? And he was like putting this powder on stuff. And he was like, oh, this is called meat glue. And I'm like, I never heard of it. And I'm like, and we had a problem of not getting our chicken skin to stick on.
Yeah.
So I am the one who brought that to the competition circuit.
You're responsible for meat glue?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll challenge anybody on that. Absolutely. I'm the one who brought it on. And everybody finds out what you're doing. And now you can buy moo glue, right?
Yeah.
You buy it anywhere. But that was, another trick. And so we kept on for us, we didn't have the history of barbecue, right? We didn't grow up on our grandfather's lap, smoking ribs.
And in the wrong region of the country, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we had to play catch up. And, people often ask us how we won the world championships, and it's doing the reps. There's no, as we were talking, like I ran a half marathon. The only way you're successful is you got to do the reps. You got to do the reps. If you don't do the reps, you're not going to. You got to do the work. But if you can find some technology that can help you along the way, that's not so bad either. I mean, even like, that's like back when, everybody uses maybe some kind of like guru of some sort, but guru was just coming up. We started using that stuff, using any kind of technology. We got a guy on our team, Jamie, Uncle Jamie, we call him, great guy. And, he has some mind for numbers. So he would track like temperatures and track what we did. And we kind of use that data to help us get better. So all sorts of things.
Were you using ceramic cookers on the team, or a host of different cookers?
Geez,
Or offsets?
no. In the beginning, we were using like a Lang or something, which is like the SUV of barbecue. I love Langs, but not great for competition. WSMs in the beginning. I'm trying to remember the one out of Louisiana. I want to say Backwater, but that's not what it was. Backwoods. Yeah, Backwoods. So we had a Backwoods for a while. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Then, but we ended up, when we toured and we really started crushing it, we had a Jambo.
Oh yeah, like everybody.
Yeah.
So IQ goes on perhaps a run that only Myron Mixon had seconded, which was a 10-year, consistent 10-year run to the Jack Daniels, and had knocked it down like one or two times over that 10-year run, I believe. I think Myron Mixon
won it on our...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Myron Mixon what?
I was just going to say, I think Myron Mixon is the only other person that went to the Jack 10 years in a row.
Okay, so this is I have the bone of contention.
Please.
I think we went 11 years in a row.
Well, you would know.
Qualified and went. I think no, I wouldn't know. But also, I would think that maybe Bill. Do you know Bill Gillespie? I mean, Bill Gillespie's. He must have gone more than that now. Bill Gillespie's gone.
Now, I'm not talking about. No, I mean he hasn't gone 10 years in a row. I mean, we're talking every year in a row for 10 years. To my knowledge, it was IQ and Myron Mixon. I don't think anybody else has even come close to it. There's been years that have gone in between with no-goes.
I was on a show once, and
what show?
One of the judges was Myron Mixon, and he's like, I'm a competitor, and out come the judges, and they're asking us questions, and Myron goes, Andy, you won the Jack. And I'm like, yeah, our team won the Jack, yeah. He's like, do you know who was second that year? And I said, Myron, if you're not first, you're last, buddy. So I have no idea. So what I want to kind of teach a lot of you guys out there is that effing with the judges is not good, not going to help you win.
Oh.
It's not making them mad is not going to help you win. And I knew damn well that he came in second that year.
Yeah. First loser. Wow.
Yeah.
So can you sum up your competition experience? I know you say that you're still kind of like into it. You said you were going to go to the American Royal this year, in the next month and a half or whatever. But, outside of really hitting it, I don't know if you were necessarily like, burning through 30, 40 competitions a year or anything like that. But like, how do you fondly remember like when you were in it? Like, what are your thoughts of competition barbecue?
Well, I am so thankful for barbecue, and it's given me so much. And our entry was through competitions. So that's kind of my path. Other people, their path is through, working in Austin and working, and then, opening up some great place or what have you. So everybody's got their barbecue path. I just want to what I'm really thankful for is my brothers and sisters in the barbecue world, and I'm not going to rattle them off, but man, I miss Mike, he was Mike Mills was a mentor of ours, and, he kind of helped guide us a lot. We were brash and New England-y and maybe a little intense sometimes. And, he talked to us about it and be like, guys, he's like, I know this, but, you guys got to think about, and it's like, he was just so giving of his, of him. He was just giving of knowledge, and, and Amy, and him and Amy wrote the foreword to our book, Pitmaster, which has sold like 75,000 copies. Very proud of that. So when you ask me about barbecue and doing all that stuff, it's really, to me, I mean, and look, it was hard, arduous, and fun as heck. We have a great team. These are our best friends. Toward the end of it, it was like not just friends anymore. Now it's friends and family. And it became a little bit something different than, just drinking some drinks and getting goofed up, and it became more of this family, and a greater extent to the family of my friend Stephanie, who helped us get a good location, will be right next to her at the Royal, right? Like, so, like, it's so neat how this community gets built around barbecue. And I just hope everybody has some sort of community like that. That's how I know you. Like, this is all cool stuff, right? Like, super neat.
What's it like writing books and having successful books on top of that?
Well, before we talk about success, I wrote a book about large parties and large party gatherings in the barbecue kind of world and beyond that. My suggestion to anybody who wants to write a book, don't write one about like large parties or big gatherings and release it right before a pandemic. It just will not sell, Writing a book is awesome. Our books have done real well. I wrote my first one with Joe Yonan. I think that was maybe 2000. I don't even know when I wrote that book, but Joe Yonan, he became I think he just left, but he was the editor of the food section of the Washington Post. He's written a ton of vegan books, which are amazing. Books on beans, really cool stuff. Wrote a book called Cool Beans. You should check it out. Writing a book is difficult. It's like the biggest report you've ever written, and every word matters. A lot of creativity, a lot of thought. If you got a good writing partner, which I like to have, you're going to have a lot of good arguments and disagreements, which is important to like challenge each other. And like, it's kind of like, like writing an album. I remember one of the books, we had all the recipes on the wall, like the titles of the recipes, and trying to organize them into chapters. And then you're realizing, well, this recipe isn't very good. We should get rid of this recipe, kind of like a B-side, and it doesn't even make it to the B-side, right? Then but someone else is saying that recipe is no good, but you're fighting for it because you love that recipe, So it's a really cool, fun project. What's important is you have something to say. I'm working slowly on thinking about writing another book, but it's important that I have something to say. And I'm not writing a book just to write a book. There's no money in it.
Are you on a contract right now, or would it be a one-off?
Well, I have to honor my contract, which means I have to go back to my same publisher. They're the right of first refusal, but I haven't taken any money yet. But probably make a decision soon on what we're going to write. I think hopefully I'll do it with Chris. He's an amazing writer. He's an amazing food thinker. What I love about Chris is he doesn't think the way I think about food. And I think that's important to have that, juxtaposition. You don't want to be writing the same recipes. You want to think about things differently.
Outside of the potential book that would be coming, what else do you have coming up next 6 months, next year?
All I want to do is just work. Look, I got a great family, so let's be clear. I love to be with my family, and I have 7-year-old twin daughters, and that's the love of my life, along with my wife, of course. We're excited for Halloween coming up. That's the big thing coming. But look, I just opened up 3 restaurants in 6 months this past year. So now it's time to kind of like really get them working exactly as I want them to be. It's a little bit of painting the Brooklyn Bridge, right? You kind of you get everything right, and then by the time you get to one side, you got to go back and do it again, right? So you're constantly just trying to get things right. But along with, I'm one for a good challenge. So I'm thinking about redesigning our whiskey list, redesigning our menus. Like, what is it going to look like in 6 months? What are we going to do in a year? What's coming up? I'm teaching a class this weekend. What is it? My big beef class. So steaks and beef ribs and brisket, I think. I can't remember what's in the class, but that'll be fun. So I always stay busy. We'll see,
What's the most overrated, your opinion, what's the most overrated whiskey / bourbon available right now?
Wow. Well, I sell like 400 bottles, so I don't want to say that. You know, I this is what I would say. You know, if you haven't tried Pappy, you should, right? And I know that's kind of everybody's like, oh, I got to try Pappy, but like, it's good. But like, I think you can find some other stuff that's a little less expensive and be really happy with it. So, you know, I wouldn't say any of them are overrated. I just think that there's a really lot of great options that aren't always just because sometimes things are expensive because of allocations and sometimes things are expensive because of brand. And, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean they're the best.
Why was Angel's Envy regular bourbon, let's say $35 and the rye is $70?
Oh, I don't know that, but I will tell you that Angel's Envy is our I just looking at this, it's our 24th best selling whiskey on our list.
Wow.
This year.
Yep.
That's the 24th best selling one.
What do you think is the most under the radar bourbon that people should be checking out? They're into that.
I mean, I'd advise you to check out what's local. I mean, honestly, check out what's around you. We've got some fun stuff around here. Mad River's kind of interesting. I think they do a good job. So it just depends on you know, I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, I'm a big fan of all of it, so it's good. And big shout out to Kerry. Kerry Bringle was at my restaurant. I love his peg leg stuff. You know, he's winning awards for it, and it's good. You know, it's good. So
is it? I mean, I know he's like small batch, or I don't know what the right term it is, like for craft beer. But is it also different, or is he a good marketer? And like it's good on its own, but there's also a good amount of marketing that makes it appealing.
Well, he's a good marketer. Let's definitely say that. But I don't want to say that and take away from what he does. I heard him speak because he was at my restaurant, and you know, they did some cool stuff. You know, how they approached the wood, how they charred the wood. They did some really interesting stuff. So it wasn't just like he put something in a bottle and put his logo on it, you know, which people do, right? Yeah. People buy the juice and just put their logo on it. No, he put some thought into it. So I think he, you know, I think it's doubly amplified because he's a good marketer, but I think it stands on its own. And in fact, I think in a blind taste, it just won some crazy award. Like it's not just like when you see those awards, especially for wine and whiskey, these are blind tasted. These aren't people voting because they know him. So that's worth it, you know.
Andy, what can I tell you? You've been coming on this show like probably way longer than even 10 years. Not like every month, but whenever you show up, you're a great interview. You always got takes. You're never afraid to share what you feel is the truth and the real, your real opinion. And getting this extra special look at you from, you know, all the way back in Seattle, traversing the country has been an absolute joy for me, and I'm happy that you're in the Guest Hall of Fame. And this has been a great conversation. I appreciate you taking the extended time tonight to do it.
Thanks. I think we should bring back the radio show moniker. I think you need to bring it back.
No, I don't think so. The radio show that never went on the radio, but yeah. Wow.
That's why it's good.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, pal. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
You bet. Andy Husbands right there, taking us ever so close to the top of the hour. And if you didn't know Andy before, you know him really well now. Had no idea. So things that I learned, he started out in Seattle. I always thought he was in New England, as I said during the interview. I had no idea that he had seen all of these revolutionary / famous bands in person at his father's either club or recording studio. And then perhaps the most shocking thing in a barbecue sense that I never knew before. I had no idea that Chris Hart and Andy Husbands had known each other since grade school. I have no idea how people end up meeting and getting into the barbecue scene together, but That was certainly something that I was not expecting, and just really solidifies to me why these origin story interviews are great, and why I will continue to do them, why I look forward to doing Emily Detweiler here in just a few short moments. All right, before we get to Emily, we will talk to you about some show sponsors while we have just a few short minutes. Primo Cookers is sponsoring the show. Of course, we love ceramic cookers, but getting a 2-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker isn't necessarily realistic. Why? Because it's round. Enter Primo and the game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute that 2-zone setup that you desire. Also gives you other ceramic grill benefits as well. When you break it down, there's more than 60 different ways to configure the Primo cooker. So you're only limited by your culinary imagination. Of course, accessories are important too whenever you're buying a cooker. So know that Primo has a whole bunch of accessories to really complete and complement your Primo Grills experience. They have the Primo Grill Rotisserie, the Primo Grill Pizza accessory, a whole bunch of really great accessories for that Primo cooker. Now, here's what we know for sure. Only sold through dealers, so you got to go see them in person. Find that dealer near you by visiting primogrill.com and then use the dealer locator. Visit them in person, and then you're off and running. See which one you think would fit on your backyard the best. See which one fits in the budget the best. Again, every week I'm telling you, don't cheap out when it comes time to pull the trigger. Don't cheap out. In fact, I would encourage you to buy up. Nobody's ever been pissed for having a grill that's too big. People end up pissed because, should have got it bigger. Don't be that person. Primogrill.com. Visit the Primos at the dealer and then get the right one. Also sponsoring the show tonight, our pal Sterling Ball over at Big Pop Smokers. That's right. Whether you're chasing grand championships or just aiming to impress your backyard cookouts, Big Pop Smokers has the rubs that delivered the results, trusted by competition pros, weekend grillers alike. Award-winning lineup like Sweet Money Competition Steak and Brisket, Cash Cow, Cattle Prod. All bring bold, proven flavors to every cut. And for a limited time, they brought back Cucaracha for a fiery kick that turns the heat up on any cook. For the listeners of the show, enter the code BBQCentral25 at checkout. That'll get you free ground shipping now through October 31st, so you got about 24 days before that runs out. Again, that's BBQCentral25 at checkout for free ground shipping now through October 31st. We will wrap the first hour right after that, and then we will get directly into the Emily Detweiler origin story. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
That was my mistake. Almost had it set up properly, but we're trying real hard. In our 20th year, we'll get it right some year. Fireboard sponsors the show as well, fireboard.com. Also, Pit Barrel Cooker, pitbarrelcooker.com. Tell them that the Barbecue Central Show sent you. Also, our friends over at McAuliffe Cigars. So for those of you that have asked for the green cigar sample, they have not landed here. As soon as they get here, I will go ahead and send them out. There's Joe and Steven and Keith. Probably Mike Lang would like some samples as well. So at least the 4 or 5 of you guys, maybe Rashid Phillips gets an unsolicited sample as well. So McAuliffecigars.com. That's MICALLEF, McAuliffecigars.com. All right, we are going to head to our number 2. So stick around and we'll be right back.